2025 is officially wrapped, and wow, what a month! I had so much fun drawing attacks, meeting new artists, and pushing myself creatively. In this video, I will be sharing a quick debrief of my experience while showing you on screen the pieces that I made, talking about what I learned, and giving a few community highlights. And this is going to be the format for all of the speed paints, references on the right, and the attack that I'm revenging on the left of screen. I have been playing Artfight for 9 years, so I have a lot of history with Artfight and I have a lot of experience with Artfight. And I can honestly say each year there's always something new, there's always something different that I learn from or get out of my Artfight journey. This year was no exception. And this is just one example, but when most of us first start Artfight, it can be really difficult to get your characters on other players' radars. So at first, it might seem like you are doing way more attacks than you are receiving, or it might be hard to find the right players to attack who are going to engage in revenge attacks. Over time, as you play year after year, you start to build your own community within the Artfight niche. I know I have, and talking to some of my other art friends here on YouTube and in Discord, they echo this sentiment, and each year they end up with way more attacks than the previous year. How you find that community is different for each person, and I know in past videos I've given some suggestions on how to do that in my Artfight playlist. This year, my growth came from the Webtoon community after the Webtoon 2025 contest, which I had entered because I met so many other Canvas creators who were entering that contest, and we became really good friends during that whole process, and many of us went on to play Artfight afterwards. With exception to the very first drawing in this video, I've put all of my Webtoon speed paint character attacks at the very beginning of this video, just to show you how much my community grew in the very beginning. And I'll point out at what point do we deviate from these Webtoon attacks into others, so you have a frame of reference for just how much I expanded my friend list this year, specifically with these Webtoon creators. And if you're not a Webtoon creator, that's totally okay. It's not the only way to find original character creators who like to draw art. Lots of players start off by attacking friends that they know in real life who are playing. You can do searches using the Artfight search function to look into similar fandoms that your characters are also in, or look on social media to find other Artfight creators online. Now let's talk about battling burnout, because I have always said that when you feel the burnout, go out, and that was still true this year, and it still works for me to this day. As long as you have a sketchbook and something to draw with, you can take your Artfight journey anywhere. I've gone to the beach with mine, I've taken it to the park, I've also taken it to the cafe at one point, and so it really can be a mobile, anytime, anywhere experience. As I mentioned earlier, I would let you know when we were working on the last of the Webtoon OCs, and this is it. This is the last of the Webtoon OC speed paints that we're going to see in this video. There is technically one more that I didn't record the speed paint of, and I will share that at the very end of the video as an honorable mention with the other still shots of attacks that I did not record the drawing process for. But I just wanted to show you how many new community members I met through the Webtoon process and kind of quantify that with these attacks at the very beginning of the video. I feel like each year on Artfight there is a new trendy fandom that really has this sweeping impact on the OCs that are submitted, and this year I really thought that was the Has-Been Hotel OCs. I did not draw any attacks for any of them, which is really a shame because I always try to fit in at least one. I know that previously I have done Spider Sonas, and that was really, really fun, and so I always try to do another one based on what the new fandom of the year is. But unfortunately, that's not what happened for me this year, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about why and how my strategy this year really changed from my past 8 years on Artfight. I didn't really have all of my usual prep time thanks to the Webtoon contest, which I had mentioned before, and that really threw me off when it came to my typical strategy, which is to try and draw a really diverse cast of character, which in that regard, I think I still managed to do most of that. I try to always have at least one mech, one animal type, anthros, humanoids, feminine and masculine, simple and complex characters. I think the one I missed this year was probably mech. I don't think I did any mechs. But another thing that I often do as well is set for the first 48 hours of Artfight aside just for bookmarks, because once you've established your community or you've built up enough of a community where they're out there attacking you first, you can kind of be put on the defensive, which has sort of happened to me. And so it can be more difficult at that point to get to bookmarks. And that's why I reserve the first 48 hours for bookmarks as a strategy. Now, I didn't do that this year. Like I said, this year was really weird and different for me. I was still in Webtoon Mindspace, and I had just added a whole bunch of new Webtoon creator friends to my Artfight profile. So my bookmarks this year were kind of Webtoon characters. Another part of my strategy is typically to do all of my first level revenges before doing any revenge chains or attacking any characters that are not revenges where I'm the primary attacker. And this year I broke away from that a little bit as well. I didn't do any revenge chains. I really did just focus on my revenges, with a few exceptions where some players who I have been in revenge chains with over several years, I would consider them my Artfight friends, who I always attack every year or I always revenge every year. And I was gonna be really sad. I knew I would be really sad if I didn't get to those. And so there are a couple in the later half of Artfight where it wasn't technically revenge and I still had revenges left that were owed, but I decided to just let myself have that moment where I would work on a non-revenge attack for an old friend because it was just important to me, and I wanted to honor that, even if it went against my default typical strategy. Another thing we cannot neglect when doing these sort of debriefs when it comes to Artfight is milestones. And my personal milestone this year that I hit was 250 attacks. I actually exceeded it at the very end of the Artfight season. My total attack final was 260, not all in one year. Like, obviously that's cumulative. Like I said, my goal is to average at least one per day. So that's 30 per year, which I do pretty good at. I do pretty good at that. I definitely managed that this year. I definitely managed it last year. But I know that they give us these little badges and stuff on our statistics page on our profiles. So if you like tab over, you can find all of your little badges that you earn over the course of your Artfight time. And I reached the 250 attacks badge this year, so I'm really excited about that. And I just wanted to give like a brief little moment of celebratory dialogue, I guess, to mention it and ask you to leave a comment down below and let me know what milestones you hit this year. I'm pretty sure there's like, even if it's your very first attack, you do still get a badge for the first attack. You get one for, I don't know, I think maybe 25, 75, 150, and then 250, I think that's what they are, but there are other badges as well. So let us know, like drop your credentials down in the comments below and tell us and share with us what milestones you hit this year. I'm going to combine these next two sections, which is any changes I noticed about the community and also the biggest challenges you faced, because I feel like they're related. And the reason why I say that is because the community has grown massively. I think last year we exceeded 1 million users on Artfight, and that number has since grown. You can check it out in the Artfight newsletter on their homepage if you're interested in knowing just how much it grew by this year. Because they released that information along with the winners. Spoiler alert, the winners are out. So if you haven't found out yet who won this year, after you finish watching this video, go check it out. That said, all of these new people has also increased our footprint, the Art Fight footprint outside of the Art Fight website in all these other spaces, in social media spaces, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. And one thing that I have noticed is that the Art Fight hype just gets earlier and earlier and earlier each year. I know that before it was in June, and now it's like in May, and I think there's even been like a trickle of Art Fight related content in April. And it just keeps getting earlier. And the one challenge that I've noticed come out of this is that there is Art Fight fatigue before Art Fight begins for some people, and for others who may not have felt it at the beginning, they're feeling it before they get to the end of Art Fight. And I know I personally was also really fatigued this year. I don't love Art Fight any less. I'm definitely not going to skip my 10th year of Art Fight. Next year I will 100% be there. I am not missing that, not at all. So you can count on me to still be present for Art Fight. I'm still going to play, I'm still going to make content about it. But I think my advice for anyone who is creating content, who's including Art Fight as part of their social media presence, their social media footprint, maybe don't start in April. I know it's so tempting because other people are getting a head start, and it's really hard to ignore that FOMO. But it is exhaustive, and I think even for people consuming that content, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, like we can discuss this down in the comments if you feel like it. I am 100% open to other opinions and learning how you guys all feel about this. Like, do you feel the same way? Do you feel differently? You can offer like a totally new perspective. But I think that the Art Fight fatigue from all this early content, like starting so much earlier than it ever has before, that we're like, our excitement is high, our anticipation is high, our energy is high, and we're holding on to that high for so long, so much longer than ever before, from April to May to June, that by the time we get to July, we are just spent. We can't hold that energy forever, and eventually that balloon is going to deflate, and we're not going to feel 100% during Art Fight. And like, that's like the worst thing we could do to ourselves going into Art Fight. And I also believe, like I truly believe, that's why Art Fight is only for 1 month in July per year. And they do have like mini games on Discord if you want to do it year round. They have like holiday mini games, which I think is cool. But in order to maintain its momentum, I think the 1 month thing is a really smart strategy, because otherwise people get fatigued and they'd stop returning every year if it was multiple times a year. I think it would get really taxing. I think it would be too much of an energy expense for artists, especially as artists get older. They have other responsibilities that are vying for their time, and so it gets harder and harder to do stuff like this. So that said, yeah, I think community-wise, the community is growing, but also the community is seeing this shift in earlier and earlier hype content. And that's also creating what I feel is the biggest challenge right now for the Art Fight community and for myself, is not getting too fatigued before the game begins. I do have just a couple more things left to mention. First, I want to bring up new techniques or tools, because I like to mention that on the years that I am trying out new techniques and tools. Like I said before, last year it was all about traditional art and trying out the Ohuhu markers and doing a sketchbook for Art Fight, like an Art Fight specific sketchbook. This year, the new tool that I was using was Clip Studio Paint. I literally just started using Clip Studio Paint the month before Art Fight for the Webtoon contest, and I really love it so far. It's been an amazing tool, and I used it throughout Art Fight this year, and it's so good. Like, I love how versatile it is, and I just cannot get enough of it. And I know there's a million more things that it can do that I haven't even learned yet, so I'm going to keep practicing, keep learning, and try to figure out new techniques and new tools in this software. And that's just my experience this year, but let me know like what your experience has been and what new techniques or tools that you picked up this year during Art Fight. The last two things I want to bring up are any regrets that I might have from this year's Art Fight, and any memorable attacks that inspired or surprised me. And I'm going to start with the first one, keep it really short and simple. I regret not doing as well on some of the attacks that I drew as I wanted to. Some of them I just couldn't find the inspiration I was looking for to really pull off what I was trying to accomplish. And so for some of the attacks, not many, just like one or two, I feel like I didn't quite hit the mark. And I almost wanted to like drop everything and start over from scratch, but it was a timed event. And so I really didn't want to like throw anything away and lose any time that I had already invested. And this like is a perfect example on screen now. I didn't feel like I had done the best work I could have done on that bird. And so it was like super tempting to do like a whole nother attack for that creator. And it's somebody that I know in Discord and who has recently joined my RP group. So thankfully I know where to find them. And so I'll be able to draw for them again in the future, even off season, even if it's like drawing their roleplay character or something. So I know I can pay it back to them and do a better job in the future. And so knowing that helped me to move forward with the rest of my attacks this year. And lastly, were there any attacks that really inspired or surprised me? Yes, a lot of them. So many of them. I was floored by your guys' art of my characters, but this one right now on screen has to take the cake because this creator went above and beyond and created this gorgeous crochet doll of my OC Amelia, and I am gobsmacked. I cannot tell you how excited I was when I discovered this in my inbox, and I am obsessed. I have like set the goal for myself for next year to do at least like one clay attack so that I can try sculpting, try doing something like 3-dimensional. But to do it with crochet, that just blows my mind. Last but not least are the honorable mentions of attacks that I drew but did not record the process of drawing, and those are on screen now. Thanks for watching. See you next art fight.